Next will be Resolution R 2020-08, a resolution in opposition to the proposed rezoning in the town of Farragut urban growth boundary.
Yes, Mayor. We've received a notification from the Knox County Planning Organization that there was a rezoning in our urban growth boundary. That's typical communication that we receive anytime that we have a rezoning or some kind of impact in our urban growth area. They let us know so we can make comments to the staff and give those to them for the Planning Commission and maybe ultimately to the County Commission for their review and acceptance. In this case, there is a piece of property that is located just across from the Clarity Point nursing facility there on Concord Road in our south urban growth area. It is zoned currently commercial neighborhood, and if you think about in Knox County where the Choteau area is, where Don Gallo and Weigel's and that area, that's the type of development that could go here. So smaller units, I think 5,000 square foot buildings, even some residential could possibly be here. There's an application before the commission right now to change the sector plan to office and then also change the plan to high density residential for the zoning and for the sector plan, which will allow up to 18 units per acre. If you see the surrounding area, currently it's single-family homes that are detached single-family homes. And so this resolution before you tonight is also to request and send to the Planning Commission and to the County Commission that the town of Farragut is opposed to this rezoning. Our land use plan, our future land use plan, shows this area as up to 8 units per acre, possibly for medium density residential, as a feathering in or a transition zone to the Concord Road area from the less dense residential area to the east and to the north. So this resolution before you tonight does request or does state that you're opposed to the rezoning in our town of Farragut urban growth boundary, and we would ask your approval.
I'm going to move to approve Resolution R 2020-08, a resolution by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the town of Farragut in opposition to
This is Alderman Pinchak. I second it.
Zoning in the town of Farragut urban.
Sorry, I thought you were done.
That's all right. That's a long motion.
Okay, Louise, you want to start off with a discussion on this one?
All right. I got a chance to speak to John Schoonmaker yesterday about a particular issue, and I've also prepared basically a small statement of fact and the application that I'm going to distribute to the neighborhoods directly behind this proposed rezoning so that they can contact John Schoonmaker to get educated. This is not due to be heard by the Planning Commission until September, the September meeting. Yeah, the September meeting. So that'll give them time to get educated so that they can get involved. I do believe, well, John Schoonmaker indicated that he supports its current zoning. He believes that it should be their commercial neighborhood, which restricts the size of the buildings. I think that's an appropriate use. I indicated to him that our land use plan calls for medium density, which is 8 units an acre, and he indicated that he had some trouble with that because where that falls for a zoning district for them is 6 to 10 units per acre. They don't have like medium density up to 8 units per acre. And I'm not sure that they could, I'm not sure if it's like their planned residential where they can set the density, as well as in our in our medium density, we envision single family attached or single family detached for medium density. So that doesn't quite align with, I think, what the Knox County has. So I think when we look at our town center land use plan, we might want to grab that up and make it neighborhood commercial so that it ties into what, depending upon what happens with this rezoning request, so it ties in with what the county is thinking for that area. Other than that, I was thinking of meeting with Amy Brooks, who is the interim executive director for the Knox County Planning Group, on different issues or different thoughts that I have. I would be happy to discuss this as well if this is something that we think needs to be discussed further with Amy Brooks. But that's up to you guys. I can leave that out of the conversation and talk about the other stuff that I need to kind of address with her. So that's kind of where I am.
Okay, thank you, Vice Mayor Pavel and Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer, pass.
Okay, Alderman Pinchot.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm clear on something. I'm not sure how this works, but they're looking for 18 dwellings per unit per acre. We've got, I believe, about an 8-acre piece of property. So if it were just apartment, the most they could have is about 140 apartments. And I don't think they would want to put 140 apartments right on Concord Road there, but who knows? But that's my only concern is of course, the number of units. And if we could find some way to lower that, then that would be my only concern.
Alderman Burnett.
I'm sorry, Alderman Pinchot. The problem with that is they're allowed up to four-story buildings, which really is inappropriate for being backed up against single-family residential. So my understanding is that their zoning act works differently than ours. So they have to get special permission, I think, to get to the 18 units per acre. But once they're there, they can go to four stories. And that's really the issue, is the height of those buildings that are allowed in there.
I'm totally confused with their zoning issue there as well. So I think we need some kind of better clarification so we know what we're talking about and what we're going to be voting on.
Alderman Pinchot, if I can. So the area that we're talking about, they're asking to go from commercial neighborhood to office for their zoning. Then what they're asking is a sector plan amendment to go to high density residential. That's a use on review, which is what Vice Mayor Pavlin was just referring to. And if they get approved for a use on review, then they can go up to 18 units per acre for that site. So as you mentioned, 140 units on 8 acres. It's next to single-story to two-story single-family homes. These would no doubt be 4-story buildings, if that. I'd probably think close to what you see north of the interstate, near where the future Topgolf is going to be. That was also a property that's 18 units per acre, right there on that corner. It's a small corner there. Correct. The
Tapestry is 18 units. Yeah.
Correct. So that's the issue. Is obviously it's going to change the look and feel of that corridor immensely if that was to go in there.
Thank you for that explanation. I would definitely be against that, of course.
Alderman Burnett.
Yeah, I do not think a 4-story, 144 apartment building in that location makes any sense. I did get to talk to John Spudenmaker as well. I know he supports the current zoning, which I do as well. I guess my question is, this is part of the urban growth boundary, and I guess I'm still in the dark as to, doesn't this have to come through us if something were to be rezoned?
Alderman Burnett, the only thing that comes to us in regards to our urban growth boundary is for them to notify us that something is happening. Now, what is part of your resolution, which is important, if you look at the last two whereas clauses, and I'll read those so we can read it in the record. It says, whereas the Comprehensive Growth Plan Act, which is Tennessee Code Annotated 658-107A, provides that once a growth policy plan has been adopted and approved, all land use decisions made by the legislative body and the municipalities or county's planning commission shall be consistent with the growth plan. So the key is it shall be consistent with the growth plan. And whereas the growth policy plan adopted by Knoxville, Knox County, and the town of Farragut expressly established that the policy that rezonings in the urban growth boundaries shall be consistent with the applicable sector plan adopted by the Metropolitan Planning Commission or the Farragut Land Use Plan as appropriate, or one created hereafter in Knox County under provisions of state law. That's the Growth Policy Plan, Section 5.2. So it requires that it be consistent with either the county plan or our plan, not both. So the key is if it's not in conjunction with one or the other, then it could not be approved and should not be approved based on the Growth Policy Act.
So
Right now, that's the way it works. They would have to get a sector plan amendment to make that work for the county, and that's what they're requesting.
Understood.
Does that answer your question, Alderman Burnett?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, for me, I support the current zoning as well. Whenever the property owner come to us, when they were wanting to do what they did there with the curb cuts off of our street, and we went through quite a bit with them on making sure that they had a dig sales area and all. And at that time, the discussion was some sort of a commercial entity, not a residential entity. And when we looked at that, we looked at it from the commercial standpoint. We did not look at it from a residential standpoint. So I would support your questioning and your discussion with Amy Brooks, Vice Mayor Pavlin. I think that would be a good idea.
Okay, thank you.
And with that, I'll ask the town recorder for a roll call vote on this resolution, please.
Alderman Pinchuk.
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Alderman Pavlin.
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Alderman Burnett.
Alderman Burnett, yes.
Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Let the record show that Resolution R 2020-08 has been approved as stated. Okay, next will be approval of change order number 1, contract 2020-05, resurfacing of streets.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right. I'm sorry, I'm kind of new to this, so bear with me, please. This is contract 2020-05, resurfacing of streets, change order number 1. The purpose of this item is to allow for payment for additional work outside the scope of our current resurfacing contract.